Welcome back. Today I'm going to talk to you about how I made this birdhouse. It's made from crepe myrtle, resin, stained glass, and other exotic woods. Stay tuned. To start with, I prepare a lot of these pieces before I even consider building a birdhouse. So I had this crepe myrtle knot. I call it a knot, but the way a crepe myrtle grows is it has every year, these little sprouts that grow out of it. And as you prune it in the fall, you cut off all of those little sprouts and they keep continually growing back. All the little identifying darker marks in this particular face of this birdhouse are those knots. This particular birdhouse has two of those slices and they are book matched. What does book matching mean? I'll tell you. Okay, so imagine taking a mirror and holding it against something. It's going to reflect the same surface in the mirror that the mirror is pointing at. They are identical. That, in all essence, is book matching. So if you take a log and you cut two slices off of it, those slices where you cut and you open up, they mirror each other. That's what book matching is in wood. You can do it with stone and any number of different materials. Here are some examples of veneer book matching. Now, you can see how perfectly they mirror each other. Well, I do the same thing, but I do it with what I call log cookies, or thicker, up to 3/4 of an inch, between 1/2 inch and 3/4 of an inch thick, that I use on the face of the birdhouses. And you can see how perfectly and beautifully they create patterns because of that book match process. And you can use 2 pieces that mirror each other, or you can use 4 pieces that mirror each other. So the varieties are, well, you can use up to 4 pieces. That's the biggest variety, and you can see that I'm showing you that right here. That's mahogany crotchwood. This, I don't remember the name of this veneer, but you can see it's 4 pieces that mirror each other. So during one of the processes of getting my education, we talked about form versus function, and some people think function is more important than form or the aesthetic value, and some people think the other way around, that the beauty, the art, the aesthetic value is more important than the function. I try to find a balance between the two. Certainly, I make things that are artistic and creative and unusual, but function is also very relevant. So the creative side plays a big role in how I design things, but I never forget about the functionality, and so I make every piece that I make functional. There's a purpose for everything that I'm making. But with that in mind, I think about all the little pieces that I add to my birdhouses. Beads, flat stone, smoothed out, resin pours, all kinds of things that I use, gemstones, pieces of exotic wood, shells, all kinds of stuff. I'll use whatever I think is interesting and unusual, and including finishing it off with molding. And quartz, because it's translucent. I typically use quartz on lamps, which you can subscribe to my channel and see some of those at a later time. With all of that said, you can see that I have added different kinds of wood, different colors of wood. The sides are spalted maple. The base is also spalted maple with hard maple feet. The back is western red cedar. There's a round there that is a resin pour from blue and silver resins. There's a knot there, I think it is from a cherry log. And there's a gemstone, a pink gemstone attached to it. A pearl gemstone, not symmetrically placed, but asymmetrically placed, which adds interest. I don't know if you've heard about the 2/3 rule, but that's certainly the same theory. Don't make it symmetrical, throw it off balance. It makes it more interesting to view. So whatever I'm doing, I'm trying to stimulate interest and creativity. And surely people love these birdhouses, so I sell them and people love them. So it looks like I'm following the right process. So I'm hoping these suggestions help you too. I don't know if you can see it, but at the very top there is a piece of fur that is cowhide, as in cowhide fur. And I don't know if that's fur or not. Anyway, it's cowhide, and I've worked with leather and cowhide hairy leather before, and that is a piece of that sitting at the very top of this birdhouse. And the roof sections are live edge cherry that were sliced right next to each other from a log, and I sliced those on a bandsaw. Other questions I get from viewers are, is your birdhouse ventilated? Is it, well, that depends on where you put it. If it's in the direct sun, that might be an issue. I get questions like, is it big enough for the birds? I don't know what size bird will go in there. I make a standard hole, so about 1.25 inches, 1.125 inches. So it's standard, so a variety of different kinds of birds can go in there. A lot of people put them on their porch so they're protected because they are pieces of art and they don't want them destroyed out in the weather. You have to bring them in once a year and clean them. I mean, there's a few things that you have to consider when you're buying or building a birdhouse of this quality and this style. And some people think you need to have a birdhouse removed from where people are sitting. That may be true with some birds, but not all birds. I had a friend who had a birdhouse sitting about 2 feet away from where they ate lunch every day. And these birds, there was tons of babies coming out of it. They had no problem with the proximity of the people. So apparently every bird is different. There's a lot of things to consider when you're placing your birdhouse, whether in your yard or under a covered porch. You have to consider predators like squirrels or snakes or other birds like hawks. They love to eat little defenseless birds. They are carnivores. Anyway, you can put the birdhouse up on a post. If you drive a tall post, even a cast iron or stainless steel, something that won't rust into the ground, and get a system that screws into that pipe, and then screw that system into the bottom of, I'll put a picture in the description here, and screw that into the bottom of the birdhouse. You can elevate your birdhouse up high so squirrels and snakes can't climb up a slippery pole. Birds, on the other hand, you have to be careful with. But if you don't have it around another tree, I don't know, hawks are pretty aggressive. And there's a lot of different ways to get rid of hawks, but if you make a hole that they can't get into, these holes hawks can't get into. So that would be a good defense against them. In any event, good luck. If you buy a birdhouse, I have some on Etsy. You can check them out there. I have a link in the description below. And good luck with it. Thanks for watching. Come back next week when I have another video on any number of things that I may be creating.